Your realtors are always working, 1.2 million of us across this great country, working on your private property rights, even when you go to sleep at night. Short sale process cut in half or more, Freddie Mac says, due in large part to the lobbying, yeah, I know it's a dirty word, but lobbying efforts of the Realtor Association. The National Association of Realtors has been working hand in hand with Congress and Senate to adopt and to help both Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae come up with more expedient ways to deliberate and deal with short sales. And how does that affect you, even if you're not in a mode of needing a short sale or investing in a short sale? Believe me when I tell you that the faster we can get this shadow inventory out of the woods and gone, the better it is for everybody. And right now, banks and mortgage lenders aren't the ones making the decisions. So when you hear me talking to a mortgage lender on this program, it isn't in their hands. It isn't even in their boss's hands to deal with a short sale. It goes to a servicing agent by law. It goes to a servicing agent. And that is where the problem is. There's nobody making common sense, reasonable decisions about what's the best thing to do in any given situation. And I've given you examples before where we've had offers, very good offers, and then leave it into the hands of the servicing agent and they screw it up. They'll take 6 months, 3 months, and people have pulled their hair out. Like, I got to come back to that, by the way. Pulled their hair out over this thing and just gone away and said, forget it, we're out. We're not going to put up with this anymore. And it's nonsensical because it's hurting you and your neighborhood. It's hurting everybody. And bottom line, it's hurting their shareholders and the taxpayers ultimately, who will end up bailing out, did and will end up again, likely bailing out banks that made poor investments. But this is part of the strategy that I don't understand. So you've made a bad deal, right? Somebody's in trouble, they need some help. Maybe you didn't do what you needed to up front to screen them, lender. And now you come back and you say, well, we're going to drag our feet and take they don't want the property back. I think it's just a nationwide system failure. And thanks to your Realtor Association, that will go from, it's going to be cut. They're projecting, and this is coming from Freddie Mac themselves, projecting a 50 to 75% more expedient relative to consulting on these short sales and getting them effected and through. That is awesome. Political cockroaches. What to look for to identify a political cockroach in your area? Well, they often speak in terms of social good. They're definitely collectivism trumps individualism. When you start to hear that, you know you're dealing with a political cockroach. They're found at the center of every meeting. You know who I'm talking about. It's like they've got nothing else going on in their life. And this is how they define themselves. They define themselves if they can't, if they don't win an election, if they don't win re-election, or if they term out, then they join this committee, that committee. And great, we need good-intentioned, well-intentioned people. But the problem is that when you become a political cockroach, you just never go away. You just won't go away. And maybe your ideas are worn out and tired, and you're pushing your collectivism versus individual rights, and it's time to hang up the hat, but for some reason, they can't. Another way to identify a political cockroach is that they refer to themselves in the third person. And I mean, I'm grasping for an example, but Citizen Smith would be one example of that. Say somebody comes before a conference, I'm Citizen Smith. That's a political cockroach, somebody who just won't go away. They're obstructionists, collectivists, trouncing on individualism and your individual property rights. Identify them and deal with them. How do you deal with them? You raise up your hand and you say, I will take this position. I'm busy. I'm running multiple businesses. I'm got a family. I've got kids I'd like to go home to. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, I'm done watching this happen to my community, my borough, my state, my country. I'm putting my hat in the ring. My hand is up. I'll take that spot. I'll take that spot. Wealth Watch. Looks like around Alaska, you saw a positive gain in real estate 2012 over 2011. Residential values, I'm speaking only to residential values right now. As we move through the remainder of January, by the way, we'll be coming back to vacant land, commercial. I'll be having some other people come on that are more of an expert in other areas and other markets. But by and large, the numbers, the statistics I'm looking at are telling me we're looking between 3 and 5% gain. And I should have Borough assessors, plug your ears for a minute. Just plug your ears. Turn your radio off. Turn it back over to public radio for a moment. Okay, come back. The 3 to 5% increase. And when you factor, you're an astute, learned, not a doctor maybe, but you're astute and you're learned, and that means that you understand the law of leverage and that your wealth is actually growing at a greater degree because of leverage and the power of other people's money put to work in a very safe and positive way. So this is all great news for Alaskans, and I'm asked all the time, do you think now's a good time to buy? Absolutely now's a good time to buy, and I'll tell you why. You've got a perfect storm, another trite phrase, but low rates, good pricing, motivated sellers, and positive gains in values. All of that is a recipe for success in real estate if you're willing to be a long-term investor. If you're in it for the long run, if you're in it to win it, you're a buy and hold equal gold strategist like I am, then now is exactly the time to be looking. Exactly the time. I mentioned the hair. My brother took a picture, and I'm 6 foot tall. I would like to be 6'4", but it just genetically just didn't work out. The reason I'd like to be 6'4", 6'6", maybe even at this point is because, friend, I'm going bald. And this is going to come as a shock to a lot of you, and I maybe should have prepared you and warned you. My brother took a picture of me at Christmas, and he's a cruel, mean individual. He took a picture. He pretended to be taking a picture of the Christmas scene that I was admiring from a chair. He took a picture. Clearly in the center of the picture is the back of my head. This is the first time, friend, that I've seen the back of my head in I don't know how many years. Because my daughter cuts my hair. She does a beautiful job, but she doesn't have a mirror that I can hold up. You know how they will turn you in the chair and you hold the hand mirror and you look at the back of your head. It's probably been 5 years since I've seen the back of my head. And it was a sad day. It was a sad day. So I told my brother, I said, I believe you photoshopped that, and that's not the back of my head. I'm not going that bald. So then he sent a picture, a side-by-side of the real picture, and then a picture where he had photoshopped some hair in on top of that, and it hurt even worse. So, hey, I've got some really, really, really good, feel-good stories here to share with you, and a Get Vocal, Act Local update, and we'll talk about the anadromous stream ordinance and the Fifth Amendment here on Radio Realty.